All right, everyone, welcome to another recap chat. This is Irene CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. This time we are talking Never Ever Mets. Never Ever Mets is a reality show on the OWN network currently where couples meet each other for the first time after having an online connection, I'd say relationship. It could be from anywhere from months to years, and they finally meet face to face. They go through different tests and challenges, not a lot, but just to see their connection and if they could be compatible in an IRL type of situation, which is in real life. All right, so we're nearing the end of this series. And we start off with Brittany and Ty. Last time, things weren't going so well with them. When it came to a game they were playing as couples after dinner, a question was asked to Brittany and Ty: are they physically compatible? And after some reluctance, Brittany said yes. That embarrassed Ty that it took her so long to respond. So he said no. And then she got upset because she was trying to protect him with her answer, but he didn't do the same for her. So Jay was basically taking up for Ty. She says basically, Brittany, you've been walking around here giving him nothing while he's been doing everything for you. Alexis jumps in and she also talks about how Brittany's been acting, and they even say that she's been touching and rubbing on all the guys in the house except for Ty, who's supposed to be her guy. Jay is really calling her out because I think she was like tickling on her man. And Cinco says, yeah, you did tickle me. And she's trying to say it's not like that. I'm not trying to come on to anybody. I'm not trying to flirt with anybody. I'm just having fun. This is just how I do. But Jay is calling her out real raw. She's using some language on her, saying she's looking promiscuous and walking around like she's, I'll just use the thought word, even though that word wasn't used. But one letter in that word was used. If you guys know what that stands for. Hopefully you do. Anyway, she was trying to call her out, basically saying that she's acting very promiscuous. And she was upset. She's like, you know what promiscuous means, right? As far as you're sleeping, that means you're basically sleeping with people. But you can look promiscuous and not be promiscuous. It's like if you're flirting with everybody and that you're so-called fast is the word they used to use back in the day. People can think one thing even though if you're not sleeping with people, but she considered it as, oh, she's sleeping around. But she then references when Jay first came into the house and first met her man Cinco, that they kind of slept together right away. So she was like, it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, so to speak. So she did, I think she did well standing up for herself. I think she's a little older than everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but the younger people in the house that were talking to her. She was a little bit older, and she wasn't too petty. She kept her cool and her calm, and she said what she said with respect. But she said she couldn't deal with them, especially Jay was really running off at the mouth at her and was not happy with her attitude and the way she treats Ty and the way she's touching on her man. So that was an issue for hers. But Brittany's like, she's done. She can't do stupid. For she's kind of calling everybody in the house stupid that was confronting her. So she said she was done. Ty comes back into the room because he had left previously when she was putting her finger in his face. And, he kind of speaks up in anger. I think after she leaves, she ended up walking out, I believe. And so he speaks up saying, I'm just kind of tired of everything being my fault and all this. He's tired of talking to her. He's basically done. He's tired of apologizing, basically bending over backwards. He's done with doing that. And she's back in her room saying, unless Ty speaks up and says something, I'm out of this house. There's no reason for me to stick around. For some reason, they cut to this moment where Jared and Charlie are talking about catching this big fish, and he ended up cutting the fishing line because the fish was too big. Okay, well, at least they're still talking. Okay, now back to the other things going on in the house. Jay and Cinco, basically their big disagreement that they have is where they're going to end up moving. And she says basically he doesn't have a child, a 4-year-old, so he should be able to move where she wants him to move. And she's doing something with his hair, taking care of his grays or whatnot, which that's very nice of her to do that. Didn't know he had grays, but I know there was some young people that prematurely get grays. Whatever the case, she was doing stuff to his hair while they were kind of discussing and debating, and she basically feel like he need to come where she's at, and he's like, well, you can come where I'm at. It's a whole argument about the 4-year-old and how the 4-year-old is going to have to go through change. And he said, well, yeah, growing up, I had to move a lot of places too, but that taught me how to interact with different people in different situations. So he's going to have to learn at some point how to deal with change. But, mommy's like, no, you need to take his feelings in question. He shouldn't have to deal with change. So that's their issue. And it's going to come up again. Brittany, so I think it's the next day, she pulls Ty and is like, I don't really feel like this is working. He says, same. And she said, well, they ganged up on me last night and you didn't really have my back. And he said, you're always calling out what I don't do. But what about you, what you're doing, touching all the other guys in the house? I don't do that with the women. And she's like, no, I don't. It's not like that. He's like, well, you have to take accountability for your actions. So they kind of argue a little bit. She stays more on the calm end. And, he just ends up saying, you know what? I think we should leave this house. And she says, okay, I think the same. So they agree to leave the house. So another couple bites the dust. And I think it's 8 people left, so there are 4 couples left at this point. Brittany, Ty saying goodbye, hugging everybody. Everybody loved him anyway. He was like, and at first Brittany was upset because he was giving so much love to everyone else, but when he started giving love to her, guess she wasn't feeling that. Anyway, she walks past everybody, doesn't say goodbye to anyone, and Jay claims that she's butthurt. And even though I don't feel like that's a bad word, it just feels wrong to say that word, but I just said it. I know it's a word people say now. Jay really has her mouth on her as she was leaving, and she was saying, she didn't even say anything to any of us, and she just needed to leave because she came in here alone and she's gonna leave alone because I guess that's her attitude and that's what she deserves, is basically what Jay is saying. But she does say bye to Charlie, and Ty says his takeaway from the whole situation is, don't always have to be a people pleaser. Sometimes you have to put yourself first, and that's what he learned from the whole scenario. Side note, I just wanted to mention, Jared always wearing that black bonnet, and I'm like, Jared, your hair don't even look, don't look that fresh, don't look that fresh and clean. I'm like, why he always wearing that bonnet? But Brandon's hair is always immaculate. I just noticed how smooth his braids are. I mean, if anything, Brandon should be wearing that bonnet, but I don't know, Jared, he be wearing the bonnet on camera. Like, is there some kind of way he should, maybe you should take the bonnet off publicly? I mean, I barely see any of the women wearing bonnets, but he loves to wear his little black bonnet. He loves to rock that little black bonnet. I mean, I'm just was scoping that out, and I found that very interesting. I'm trying to see, Jared, what are you trying to protect under there? Because it don't look that good. I'm sorry. Sorry for that side rant. All right, Brandon and Kiki, their family and loved ones are coming to, do the home visit, which each couple has had. Cinco stirs the pot a little bit. He's like, well, so what kind of secrets are going to come out now? And she's kind of silent. And I just think Cinco and Jay are kind of the busybodies of the house. I don't know if it's called for, but that's the position they play. Charlie and Jared. As far as Charlie is concerned, she's seeing that he's kind of just a smooth talker that says what she wants to hear, and she can't really trust his word because he told her basically the truth, and then as they were talking about another situation, he's like, well, you're the only person I care about in this house. You're the only voice I care about in this house. So she's feeling like he's saying all these good things. He's kind of going back and forth, I guess, but where does he really stand? She doesn't know. It's still a question mark. But they seem to be at least trying to get along. Jay says she loves all the people that are left in the house when they toast. It's like the four couples that are left. She loves everybody that they get along with each other well. So she's good. And Tawanda reminds them that yes, there's 2 more days left till D-Day. And Jay and Cinco, they have their little date night. They do a perfume blending where they, kind of have to describe the scents that they like and also the intent behind the scent. And the mixologist takes all this information, puts it together, and makes them their perfect scent. Most of them talked about food smells and desserts. Cinco said he liked the smell of gain. Who doesn't? So when she finally gets it all mixed up, she hopes that they enjoy it. But she said, Jay said she really enjoyed this date. It was intimate in a different type of way. But the whole situation about where they're going to move becomes a thing again. But I think he says, it's not like I'm expecting you to pick up and go right away. Hopefully, I'm planning on us to leave this house together, but we can take a little time, not too much, to figure out the whole moving situation. So at least they seem like they are reasonable with each other when it comes to that moving scenario. Maya, Kiki's friend, arrives. She's supposedly skeptical about Brandon and feels like he could be hiding something. Brandon's brother comes. He kind of has that little attitude to me. Like a little young buck, like he kind of thinks he's the stuff on some level, but he's kind of preppy acting as well. The heavy drinking comes up. The two family members kind of talk to their own family member off to the side. Then all 4 of them come together, but the brother talks about how Brandon had to step up when he was 15 to look out for the family because of drinking issues in the family. So that's a sore spot for him. Kiki hopes that he does have a secret because she did and does. I mean, she didn't fully come out with the information about her ex. So again, the drinking comes up between the 4 of them. And the brother's he's there acting like he's a counselor at this point. He looks 10 times younger than everyone in the room, but he's smelling himself. He thinks he's a lot, and I think he is a lot on some level. And I think that's even what Jay says. He mentions that she missed 4 times meeting him. He came up to her city and she wasn't there, so she finally explained she was still involved with her ex. So the truth's been revealed. In the last 4 years, she was still with her ex. And he was upset. He says he didn't do the same. This feels like a deal-breaking situation for him. And Brandon shares this information with Alexis and tells her that, 4 years she's been with her ex. And she's like, well, it's kind of questionable, kind of strange on his end that for the last 4 years he didn't sleep with anyone. And to me, it's a bit questionable, especially for people today. Because of my Christian faith, I can see that and more because of my Christian faith. But I don't see him being I didn't see him very much talking about Faith, so I don't know where his drive to wait 4 years, unless he's just someone that is not very sexual. Or there's I think I said demisexuals, where you have to have a connection with that person before you can sleep with them. And maybe he just hasn't had that connection and he was banking his full connection on her. That could be also possible, but for most people, they look at you, if you haven't had sex, especially in years, more than 1 year, especially, they're really gonna be like really questioning, are you telling the truth? Especially if you're a man as well. So that's kind of what's going on around the house. The house is saying it's no big deal. She was with her ex until February. So the last few months or so, she had been broken up with him completely. They said, well, I think they were saying because they weren't in a relationship. They weren't in a relationship online. They just weren't physically present with each other. So I think everybody's saying, well, it makes sense. To me, honestly, I also said as well, not that they sleep with other people, but at least that they've been dating or talking to somebody else. In the span of 4 years, you haven't talked to anyone. That's really a long time. There was no close calls, nobody you had any interest in. You didn't date anybody for a minute. I mean, if it's that like that, then that can be very sus. They are thinking he probably was sleeping with other people during that time. He was doing something, is what is thought. But now he's acting funny with her. She's kind of upset that he's reacting the way that he is, especially since everybody else in the house is giving her a pass, saying, oh, it's not that bad. Everybody was probably doing something because we weren't face to face with each other. So Cinco comes to Kiki with his thoughts, and I think he was thoughtful. He was trying to give her the perspective that Brandon might be feeling at the time. And there are times when Cinco has said some good things, so he's not a full troublemaker, but he is a busybody with his girl. But his girl is loud, and she'll make you feel some kind of way. But I'll say 90% of the time, Cinco is decent and respectful enough. So now it's time for Brandon and Kiki to kind of talk it out about the secrets and what happened last night. That he says he's feeling this a deal breaker. They kind of raise their voices at each other, talking about, there's certain things that he doesn't like about her. Well, she said, well, there's certain things you need to work on about yourself as well. So they're raising their voices during breakfast. And I think at that point, it's 2 days left. Maybe, I don't know if next time is the last episode or not. But yeah, it's not looking good for the last minute. And I think he said, so do you just want to end this? She said, what do you mean, the conversation? And I think he was kind of saying, just this whole thing. I think she kind of dismissed it. And he walked away, took his breakfast with him. And that's how this episode ends. Wish we'd never ever met. Thoughts, comments, questions. I'd love to know if you have any thoughts at all as we kind of wrap this show up. Some people are 50-50 on this. Some people aren't really into this show that deeply, but I do see some people talking about it. And is this season better than the first one? I think so. How it ends will kind of tell me how good the whole season was, I think. But it's a decent show. It's a decent watch. And I think it's interesting. So we're going to play this out to the end. We're going to ride it all the way out, guys. You can email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com with your thoughts. Drop your comments below. Check out our chats on our other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com. We'll talk again. All the best. God bless.